समाधि। नाही सूरज नाही ज्योति, नाही सूरज नाही ज्योति, नाही शशांक सुंदर भाषे भूमि छाया श्याम, भाषे भूमि छाया श्याम, छवि विश्व चराचर नाही सूरज नाही ज्योति, अश्रुत मन आकाशे जगत संसार भाषे, अश्रुत मन आकाशे जगत संसार भाषे, उठे भाषे डूबे पुण्य, उठे भाषे डूबे पुण्य, अहं श्रोते निरन्तर नाही सूरज नाही ज्योति, धीरे धीरे छायादार महालये प्रवेशिल, धीरे धीरे छायादार महालये प्रवेशिल, বহে মাত্র আমি এই ধরার অনুখান, সে ধারাও বদ্ধ হলো শূন্যে শূন্য মিলাইল, সে ধারাও বদ্ধ হলো শূন্যে শূন্য মিলাইল, অবাক মানস গোচরম, অবাক মানস গোচরম, বুঝে প্রাণ বুঝে যায় নাহি সূর্য নাহি জ্যোতি, নাহি শশাঙ্ক সুন্দর ভাসে ভূমি ছায়া শ্যাম, ভাসে ভূমি ছায়া শ্যাম, ছবি বিশ্ব চরাচর নাহি সূর্য নাহি জ্যোতি।
I'm reading from the book Spiritual Treasures, Letters of Swami Kripamayananda, translated and edited by Swami Chetanananda. This letter is from Varanasi, 18th April 1919. Dear Sharvananda, I received your letter some time ago, but I could not write to you until now because I was ill. Though the subject, what is Sri Ramakrishna's philosophy, is extremely difficult, with the Lord's grace, I will try my level best to answer your questions. It is not so easy to speak about Sri Ramakrishna's philosophy. It seems to me that to encourage the followers of all religions, he declared, as many faiths, so many paths. He made this statement after he himself had practiced the disciplines of various religious paths and experienced that their paths lead to the same truth. The ultimate truth is one and non-dual. It is called by various names: Brahman, Paramatman, Bhagavan, God, and so on. Whoever has realized that truth has tried to express it according to his own temperament and understanding by giving it a particular name. But nobody has been able to express the whole truth. What he is, he is. That is the final conclusion of those who have realized him. Hanuman said to Rama, O Lord, when I identify myself with the body, I am your servant. When I consider myself as an individual soul, I am a part of you. And when I look upon myself as the Atman, I am one with you. This is my firm conviction. Sri Ramakrishna referred to this statement as the best conclusion of different phases of spiritual experience. Why should it not be possible to see the worshipped vessels as Brahman, saturated with consciousness? This is a reference to Sri Ramakrishna's vision in the Kali temple, where it was revealed to him that everything is pure spirit. Throughout the universe, he exists, pervading every being and everything, animate and inanimate. There is nothing but God. God verily is all. Because we cannot see him, we see objects instead. But the fact is that God is everything. Names and forms originate from him and remain in him. The waves, the foam, the bubbles, they are all nothing but water. Who cares if your doctrine of superimposition stands or fails? If he who has known this truth, that Brahman is all, cannot be content with a lesser viewpoint. The Master used to experience a state beyond all thoughts and ideas. That state transcends name and form, words and mind. There exists only one without a second, beyond the realm of Prakriti, that is, beyond relativity. Where is the doctrine of superimposition or the doctrine of no creation in that realm of oneness? And yet again, all doctrines, whether of superimposition or of no creation or of transformation, etc., originate from the Lord. He alone is the reality, the truth. And again, he is the source of all individual beings and of this universe. The manifestation is also true if he is not forgotten. Name and form become unreal if we forget God, because they cannot exist without him. Sri Ramakrishna said, zeros added together amount to zero. Place the digit 1 before them and they add in value. The digit 1 is God. If he dwells in our thoughts, only then can we understand the truth that the pith belongs to the sheets and the sheets belong to the pith. A reference to Sri Ramakrishna saying that as long as the plantain tree contains sheets, it also contains pith. He was illustrating the point that while God keeps the ego of a devotee in a person, the relative, the sheets, is real, and so is the absolute, the pith. At that time, one can understand these sayings of the Gita. All things in this universe are pervaded by me. All is strung on me as a row of gems on a thread. The main thing is we must see God. When we see the Lord, everything else disappears. One experiences God as everything. Before we see Him, we have doubts and confusions, and all sorts of theories and controversies. But these cease to exist as soon as we see Him. Then one experiences uninterrupted peace and bliss. Yes.
Now a short period of meditation. Good morning, friends. Today's topic is idea of vastness. Vastness exists in ideas, in experience, in physical entity, in thoughts. As it was being read, vastness in religious thoughts, in Sri Ramakrishna, how he could include everything through his experience, all religions, as belonging to humanity and able to lead mankind to ultimate truth. That vastness was realized by Sri Ramakrishna. Man is a very curious entity. It always was seeking where is the truth to be found. Search for knowledge, inquisitiveness is very much ingrained in us. At night when our ancients used to look at stars, how big is the sky? What are those bodies? Where we are? Those are all thoughts used to come. That is the idea of vastness coming. To know more about ourselves, our surroundings, how big we are, how big is the world. That idea of vastness made people explore the continents, cross the oceans, and reach and discover new and newer places. To start from the cosmos, how vast is the cosmos where we live? If we just see the world so huge, so big, but what is our situation in this world? What is our position? How big I am? My ego is so big, but how big really I am? Sri Ramakrishna used to say, man thinks him to be so big, so large, so great, but he doesn't know how puny and small he is. If he's sleeping, someone throws some foul water in his mouth, he doesn't understand. That is what his ego is, but he thinks that he's too big. How to think ourselves as this body-mind complex, only to limit ourselves as body and mind and the brain working, we become like in the ratio of relation to this cosmos, we are nothing very invisible. How big is the cosmos? In this physical dimension, our solar system itself, with a few planets like Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, with these 9 planets, it is, and our next solar system is like 4 light years away. If we travel by this, cannot be measured in kilometers or miles. It's in light years. The distance light travels in second. So distance light travels in 1 year. It will be 4 years if we travel. Then we can go to another solar system. Some Centuria is the name. And our solar system itself, up to the Mars, we have been somehow have reached our next planet. But beyond that, we have sent a Voyager that's going in our solar system, but that is still in our solar system. Then this solar system, there are so many solar systems that make this galaxy. And we are on the edge of an arm of the galaxy. There are many circular arms, spiral arms. And we are at the edge of this galaxy, this our solar system. And in our solar system, our Earth, the planet where we live, it's a very humble, one small ball that is surrounding the sun. And how big is the galaxy? Galaxy, they say, is like 30,000 light years big. So we are. The Earth is very insignificant part of our even galaxy. If we could travel beyond our galaxy, suppose, if we can travel to 100,000 light years away, then we could see many galaxies, small star-like things, and all those will be galaxies, not sun. The stars that we see are mostly of our galaxy thing. It's nothing beyond our galaxy. You cannot see other galaxy. If you go beyond our galaxy, then it will be, as we see stars in the sky, then there will be seen galaxies in the sky in that way. Each galaxy will be how 30,000 light years ours is. Some are small, some are big. That will be the size of galaxies. And they say, that's why they say, what is your cosmic address? So our first line of address is Earth. Second line is Sun solar system. There are so many billions of solar system in this galaxy, Milky Way galaxy. Sun solar system, we call that star, which shines by itself as sun. And what will be the third line? Third line will be Milky Way galaxy. There are billions of galaxies. And those galaxies again are like they form group. Milky Way galaxy and our nearest galaxy will be, people have seen that our nearest galaxy, Andromeda galaxy, the name that could be seen through the infrared telescopes. And that galaxy like that, they form a cluster, and cluster of galaxies to which we belong is called Virgo supercluster. And there are how many superclusters of galaxies in this universe? We don't know. It is so vast. We don't know how many Then how big is the universe? It is unfathomable. Where the universe ends, it cannot be really very difficult to even imagine. So big is the universe. Now scientists are saying this one universe of ours is not all of cosmos. Cosmos may have billions of universes like this. And they now are saying the concept of universe is transcending into concept of multiverse. Many universes in this cosmos. That is how in physical entity this cosmos is unthinkable. And that itself, when we know it, it becomes limited in our thought. But so huge, so vast, that is our position. That is in the distance. What about the vastness in time? It said the universe was created 13.8 billion years ago with the explosion of a small atom-like substance. It exploded and it's called Big Bang, which happened 13.8 billion years ago. So, how many years ago it happens? If we consider that 13.8 billion years into 1 year, suppose the 13.8 billion years equal to 1 year, then we can understand how this evolution has come. So January 1, at midnight, January 1, when it started, there was a Big Bang. Then on January 13, then smaller galaxies were formed. Then on March 15, which is 11 billion years ago, our Milky Way galaxy was formed. March 11. Then, when was our Sun born? March 15 was the Milky Way galaxy. Our Sun was born August 31st. It is 4.5 billion years ago. Other planets were already started, other solar system were started forming. Then when the Sun started, around that time, the planets were formed. And one theory of when our Moon formed, one theory is when our Earth was being formed, then it collided with other heavenly body, asteroid, and a part of this Earth that was separated. And it was close and shining like 100 times brighter than us, very closer to us, and it started revolving not around the Sun but around us, around Earth. And it went farther, and it looks less brighter and condensed, and that became the Moon. When did life begin in our Earth? About 3.5 billion years ago. It was, according to that 1 year dimension of our time, 13.5 billion, if you call 80 billion, if you make it 1 year, it will be September 21st. Life began in the ocean, in water. Then on November 9, microbes began. They started moving, they started showing life forms. Life started. So life to develop from this life form of genes and living protoplasm to moving microbes It took from September 21 to November 9. You can understand how long it took for that life form to evolve into living microbes. Then all life was on earth. Life came to the land from ocean, the animals moved to land. It was just very recent, like December 17. Only the land animals started having. First land animals, the amphibians might be there. Then, after that, the plants started growing in the land, earth became cool, plant, gymnosperms started growing. When the first flower bloomed on this earth, it was December 28. Just very close, 3 days ago. Today is 31st December, suppose say. Just 3 days ago, in that, after the universe was formed, this started, flowers started. When did human being originate? It is just December 31, 11 hours, 59 minutes and 46 seconds. The human. Our civilization, recorded history, civilization that is, we can find through research. It's when humans started cultivation, agriculture started, it was 10,000 years ago, only just recent, is few seconds ago. And in that time scale, when was Moses born? Just 7 seconds ago. And Buddha was born 6 seconds ago, Christ 5 seconds ago, and Muhammad 3 seconds ago of 31st December, midnight today, if you take that way. This is the vastness of time when the universe began. What about us then, man? What about us? The first person who actually thought of this infinitude of universe, how big, how vast it is. It was not a scientist who was having telescope. The person who thought of the infinite of universe in the Western world was in 16th century. We'll read later how in India, that Vedanta, Vedas had developed, and they had already started thinking of this infinitude of the human beings, of the universe, of God, how this thought came. So Giordano Bruno from Italy in 16th century, so he was the one who first experienced that he is in a big bowl of having stars, and in that area he said it was so vast that there was no below or above. There was no age. It is all infinite. And that experience was so profound for him that they said this earth is not the center of the universe. There are many planets, many suns, but he had not seen anything. All through his meditation, through his experience, through his intuition. But his experience, his feeling, his understanding, through his meditation was so deep, so convincing that church has denied this. This is earth is the center, and everything, the whole sky, the whole sun moves around that, whole planet moves around this. What this person is saying, it's not written in the Bible. It's not written in the scriptures. So they denied him. The Christian Catholics, he tried. Calvinists, they also discarded him. Then he went to Oxford, learning university, that thing in 15th, 16th century. They also drove him out, didn't accept his thought. But he was so convinced, then the church, he went back to Italy, and they asked him, do you want to change your thought? He said, how can I change? Then you'll be punished. The church itself gave him for punishment because he was saying something which was against the scriptures, which was untruth, which was disturbing. So they gave it to him, and he said, you'll be punished otherwise. You have no idea what you'll be punished. So he was put under the bar and he died there. But he was not afraid. He couldn't say, no, it's wrong. That's what the experience comes. That experience of infinitude, experience of vastness is so ennobling, so strong that it cannot be denied. It is a sort of samadhi. When one understands it's all vast, universe is vast, and he said, the God I worship is infinite. And his creation is also unlimited. So he couldn't limit his creation. Now the scientists, after Galileo discovered the telescope, they found, oh, there are many planets, there are many suns. So, and the Milky Way, that thing is all full of cluster of stars, cluster of suns. There's such a huge world. Then people had to believe. Slowly, the Bruno was punished to die, but his thoughts remain. Now what is the relation of this vast universe with us? We are the very insignificant, small being. It has nothing to do with that. In India, when there was search for truth, what is reality? What is the relation of ourselves with the universe? They found out, they tried to search the reality. Instead of searching outside, they started searching inside. And going deeper and deeper and deeper, they found the universe, that infinite being, that they call Brahman. That is the concept of, in Hinduism, concept of infinite universe or a beyond universe, infinite reality of which this created universe, perceptible universe, is only a part, only a portion. The reality is beyond perceptible universe, beyond visible universe, beyond created universe. And that created universe and that reality which is imperceptible, that all met together in one unit, that called reality, the truth, unchanging, uncreated, undying, undiminishing whole. That is called Purnamada. That others, that is full, complete. It can never change, it can never be reduced, it can never die. There is no pralaya in that. Then where is that pralaya? What about the fate of this created universe? This created universe, it goes through the cycle of laya and pralaya. And laya is smaller, like the solar system might be again, it will die, it has lifetime. It's a self-life. But there will be creation somewhere else. There will be creation somewhere else. And finally, there might come a time when whole creation is just absorbed in that reality, which is imperceptible, which is unseen, which is unthinkable. But that is the reality, and that Brahman always remains. From that Brahman, the infinity comes out this finite universe. This finite universe, how big is it? That we know from scientific discoveries nowadays, through imagination, that the people have seen the age of the universe, but still, where the universe ends, what it starts. So that's why I cannot say how big is the universe. It's infinite, just infinite. So vast is the universe. So this creation again comes. After Pralaya comes Srishti. And from where does it stand? Out of what it comes? According to Vedanta, it is from Brahman. From that reality, imperceptible reality, comes this perceptive, cognizable universe. And where does it rest? In that Brahman itself. And that reality is that one without a second, it's always there. There can be no change in that. Change is within this. Within that whole thing is creation coming, dissolution coming, all happens within this. And how do we relate to that? So, going deep into ourselves, the rishis, they thought. Someone came, what is Brahman? Can you teach me? The student came to the teacher and said, what is that reality? Can you teach me? So, that thing is something which cannot teach. It has to be understood by oneself. The teachers can guide you, do this. But to understand that thing, you have to understand yourself. The horse has to drink water himself. You can take horse to the river, but it has to drink, like that understanding. So they said, do tapas, do concentration, try to understand who really you are. So the student then started having concentration on himself or herself as the body, physical body. Then he said, no, physical body is very small, it has self-life, it dies, but reality doesn't die. So he negated that, I am not physical body. tato annamayam atmanam upakramati. Then he says, I am not physical, but he transcends physical body. He understands he is beyond the physical body. Then what I am? Am I the mental body? Body made of mind which can think? Am I thoughts? And the place from where the thoughts arise? Mental body? Thoughts are yours. But after thinking Lord, they also say thoughts are changing. Reality doesn't change. So, it negates the thoughts also. Then am I the life force? That also negates. Am I the intellectual being, the intellect, the knowledge? That also is negated, goes beyond that. Am I the bliss? Anandamaya kosha. Tato anandamaya atmanam upasankramati. That anandamaya, that blissful self is also negated. Then who am I? Then after that he understands who he is, who the person, what is the reality? I am infinite. And he says, I have known that great Purusha. I have known that great Purusha, knowing which only you can go beyond death. That's what he says. And then he starts saying, in raptures he started saying, ha, who, ha. We cannot say after understanding who himself is, reaching that vastness, reaching that infinity, experiencing himself as the infinity, that student cannot speak anymore. He says, what a great bliss, what a great joy, inexpressible is that experience of limitlessness, where one goes beyond all sorrow, beyond all doubts, beyond all ignorance, beyond all darkness, beyond death. That is the time he says, ha, vu, ha, vu, ha, vu. Swami Vivekananda describes the song being said today. But the samadhi, isn't that? One can experience that. And how is samadhi? Samadhi says that to translate the hymn in Sanskrit that was sung is on meditation first, started meditation. And in meditation, everything around that was observed was just being lost. Just being lost. Mind was going beyond the perceptible universe. Lo, the sun is not the comely moon. Sun, moon, all going beyond. It is like traveling in the universe, you see, transcending solar system in deep meditation. All light extinct. Sun, moon gone. No light of physical light was there. What is to shine later is the spiritual light which is ever present, which is called the pure consciousness. All light extinct in the great void of space. Where that space? Through mind is being perceived. Okay? In the void, great void of space floats shadow-like the image universe. Universe loses its reality. It becomes like an image, like a photograph, like a shadow. In the void of the mind involute, there floats the fleeting universe. Now, in the mind, universe is just fleeting, coming, going, rises and floats. Universe coming, universe going. All seems to be temporary. How in time the mind has extended. The creation and dissolution are just the person is observing in the meditation. That universe is being created. We see so long human life, so long universe, 13.8 billion that universe coming. That becomes for him in the seconds like that. Universe coming, universe being dissolved. We compress the 13.8 billion years in 100 years. For a person in samadhi, it is like in seconds it's becoming. The fleeting universe rises and floats, sinks again, ceaseless in the current I. What remains is I, aham. That will not be lost. Aham, that reality is there. But what is that I? That I has gone much beyond this physical body, much beyond this vital energy, much beyond this mind and the intellect. That I is the one which contained all universe as rising and dissolving in I. I has become that vast, that infinite. Slowly, slowly, the shadow multitude entered the primal womb and flowed ceaseless, the only current, the I am, I am. There is the idea of I-ness is there, but everything else is lost. Body consciousness is lost, the room consciousness is lost, the world consciousness is lost, the universe consciousness is lost. Only I sense is there, but not this I with this body. Only I am. That feeling is there. What happens when one goes beyond that? Lo, it is stopped. Even that current flows no more. Void merged into void, beyond speech and mind. Whose heart understands, he verily does. Swami Vivekananda describing his own experience of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. This is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. When nothing remains, when your I consciousness also doesn't remain. And it is not the ignorance of deep sleep. It is the Samadhi of highest awareness. That's Swami Vivekananda so beautifully describes this Samadhi. Swami Vivekananda had a wonderful conversation with his disciple, Sharachandra Chakravarti. I read from that. Disciple asked him to Swami Vivekananda, Sir, as the fruition of great austerities in past lives, I have been blessed with your company. Now bless me, that I may not be overcome by ignorance and delusion anymore. Now my mind sometimes is seized with a great longing for some direct spiritual realization. That spiritual realization is to become vast, to become infinite, to become Brahman. And to realize Aham Brahmasmi, I am not this limited, minute body, I am that infinite Brahman. Please bless me, says the disciple to Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji, I also felt like that many times. One day in the Kashipur garden, I had expressed my prayer to Sri Ramakrishna with great earnestness. Then in the evening, at the hour of meditation, I lost the consciousness of the body and felt that it was absolutely non-existent. I felt that the sun, moon, space, time, ether and all had been reduced to a homogeneous mass and then melted far away into the unknown. The body consciousness had almost vanished and I had nearly merged in the Supreme. Nearly merged. Still there was I that he describes. There is the flow of I. But I had just a trace of the feeling of ego. So I could again return to the world of relativity from the Samadhi. In this state of Samadhi, all the difference between I and the Brahman goes away. There's only one existence. I become Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi realized. Everything is reduced to unity, like the waters of the infinite ocean. Water everywhere. Nothing else exists. Language and thought all fail there. Then only is the state beyond mind and speech realized in its actuality. Otherwise, so long as the religious aspirant thinks or says, I am the Brahman, I and the Brahman, these two entities persist. When we say Aham Brahmasmi, we are not still Aham Brahmasmi. In the state of when we realize I am Brahman, I am that supreme reality, this thought cannot come. Far beyond is the speech. There is the involved semblance of duality. After the experience, even after trying repeatedly, I failed to bring back the state of Samadhi. On informing Sri Ramakrishna about it, he said, if we remain day and night in that state, the work of the Divine Mother will not be accomplished. Therefore, you won't be able to induce that state again. When your work is finished, it will come again. So Swami Vivekananda, when he came out from this experience in Kashipur, he said, where is my body? Where is my head? He was crying. He was not finding anything of his body. And those who heard, they rushed to Sri Ramakrishna. So he is in terrible state of mind. He is not finding his body and mind. What is he going through his mind? We don't know. Sri Ramakrishna just laughed and said, let that rascal remain in that state. He had been pestering me for that experience for a long time. So he was not worried. He knew that what exactly he is going through. He himself had gone through this experience when it completely loses the identification with the body. There is no head, there is no body, only I remains. What that I is, that person experience. And that experience is not only I, that's infinite bliss. When we transcend this idea of body itself, we become so happy and blissful. Little in meditation, we think of something of our cherished object of meditation, the form of God, or some idea, or some then itself we feel so happy. And when we totally forget this body and mind and all that, it is a state of deep bliss. Disciple then asks, on the attainment of the absolute and transcendent nirvikalpa samadhi, can none return to the world of duality through the consciousness of egoism? Swamiji, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that the avatars alone can descend to the ordinary plane from that state of samadhi for the good of the world. Ordinary jivas do not. Immersed in that state, they remain alive for a period of 21 days. After that, their body drops like a sere leaf from the tree of samsara. Disciple, when in samadhi, the mind is merged and there remain no waves on the surface of consciousness, where then is the possibility of mental activity and returning to the world through the consciousness of ego? When there is no mind, then who will descend from samadhi to the relative plane, and by what means? It's a very logical question. When you have no ego, what will bring you back to the world, Swamiji? The conclusion of Vedanta is that when there is absolute samadhi and cessation of all modifications, there is no return from that state. But the avatars cherish a few desires for the good of the world. By taking hold of that thread, they come down from the superconscious to the conscious state. Disciple, but sir, if one or two desires remain, how can that state be called the absolute transcendent samadhi? For the scriptures say that in that state all the modifications of the mind and all desires are stamped out. Swamiji, how then can there be projection of the universe after Mahapralaya? At Mahapralaya, everything is merged in Brahman. But even after that, one hears and reads of creation in the scriptures, that projection and contraction of the universe go on in wave forms, like the fresh creation and dissolution of the universe after Mahapralaya. The superconscious and the conscious states of avatars also stand to reason. So like that about the relation between the supreme reality and the creation. This creation is also infinite according to Vedanta. It also is ever there along with God. The Creator is ever there and this creation is also there. When Creator is there, creation will be always there. So what is the difference between creation and the Creator? Creator remains same. Creation has cycles. It is originated, it develops and it merges again. So that is alone reality. But creation once it dissolves, whole universe it implodes according to science. And there must be from what this Big Bang happened. How this small atom-like thing came, from which the Big Bang happened, from where this space came. Though Vedanta will say, it was the involution of earlier universe or multiverse, whatever is there. And it had become that, and then after some time it again exploded in a Big Bang. So this cycle of contraction and expansion goes on. That is also infinitely going on in time. Time is infinite. And whenever this explosion comes, then for us this time starts. But the time is constant, it's infinite, along as the creation is infinite. With the creation, this time may go away, but with next creation, next time it starts. So, this creation and dissolution are eternal. This vastness is also always eternal. In one of the Upanishads, Chandogya Upanishad is described why we seek so many things. Why we say we want more. I want more. That's saying, no? I want more. So, in Hindi they say, ye dil mange more. Why we seek so much? There is the reason, spiritual reason behind that. Because according to Vedanta, real happiness is in being infinite, in possessing infinite. There is no, Chandogya Upanishad says, Bhumaiva Sukham. There is happiness in vastness. And it reiterates, Na alpe sukham asti. There's no real happiness in small things. Small mind, self-centered, there's no happiness. Broad thoughts, vastness of ideas, accepting all, there the happiness starts. Possessing little house, little family, less joy. Make greater family, greater joy. The family belonging to the Ramakrishna family we call, greater joy. Having more friends, greater joy. Possessing the whole world. How to possess the world? Treat the world as your own. Why you have to possess? The world is already your own. Greater joy. Bhumaiva sukham. There is joy only in vastness. Alpe sukham nasti. There is no happiness in small things. So be vast. Think that you possess everything. Think that you are everything. Know that you are the infinite Brahman. Swami Krishnananda of Divine Life Society explains that. In Chandogya Upanishad says, Bhumaiva sukham, na alpe sukham asti. The infinite is the source of happiness. There is no happiness in trivial. There are some who would debate this point and say that this is not true. That on the contrary, one must learn to find joy in the trivial, everyday events and circumstances of life. If one is always seeking out the grandiose, how will they ever find happiness? The secret, it seems to me, is making the connection to the infinite. Making that connection is what I call rasa. For the record, here is Mueller's translation of that verse. When one obtains bliss in oneself, then one performs duties. One who does not obtain bliss does not perform duties. Only he who obtains bliss performs duties. This bliss, however, we must desire to understand. The infinite or Bhuma is bliss. There is no bliss in anything finite. Infinity only is bliss. This infinity, however, we must desire to understand. Where one sees nothing else, hears nothing else, understands nothing else, that is infinite. Where one sees something else, hears something else, understands something else, that is the finite. The infinite is immortal, the finite is mortal. Sir, in what does the infinite rest? This is from Upanishad. In its own greatness, or not even in greatness. In the world, they call cows and horses, elephants and gold, slaves, wives, fields and houses greatness. I do not mean these. Thus he spoke. For in that case, one being the possessor rests in something else. But the infinite cannot rest in something different from itself. Where will infinite rest? Whatever infinite will rest on, that will become infinite. It will become finite. So infinite has to rest on infinite. So when one says, I will become big by possessing this great land, so you are possessed by finite piece of land. To be infinite, to be possessed by infinite, you have to become infinite. The infinite is below, above, behind, before, right and left. It is indeed all this. Now follow the explanation of the infinite as the I. I am below, I am above, I am behind, before, right and left, I am all this. Next follow the explanation of the infinite as the self. Self is below, above, behind, before, right and left. Self is all this. He who sees, perceives and understands this, loves the self. delights in the self, revels in the self, rejoices in the self, he becomes a Swarat. He is the Lord and Master in all the worlds. But those who think differently from this live in perishable worlds and have other beings for their rulers. So, to have that bliss is to be yourself that vast and to connect with that infinity which we call God. Infinity cannot be thought with mind, but when that infinity becomes God to us, a formless God, a God with form, having all the qualities and having been described as Ananta, Vibhu, is all pervading, is present everywhere. That's what Sri Krishna also said in the Gita, that I am everywhere, as it was read. And I am passing through, as a thread, I pass through all that forms you see, they all are in me. They are sustained in me. And I pass them through them like a thread passes through the garland. So that infinite being which is present in everything, that we call God. The more we connect to God, the more we become vast. And finally, when the connection starts more deeper and deeper, we become like God. We become God. We become Brahman. We become infinite. And in that infinite, we become blissful and we become immortal. And beyond all limitations that this life gives us, that limitedness gives us, we become beyond all this and attain ultimate freedom. And that freedom comes from ourselves becoming vast, and the process is connecting to that which we know and think and understand as infinite, that we call Father in heaven, that we call God, Allah, or Brahman. More we go closer to God, the more we realize our own vastness.